Make real change. Make change real. The process is beautiful. Empower your mentality. Make real change in the world. This is Coach King. So we've been talking about the idea of change, and we've been talking about innovation. Um, I'm on the last one. This is the last characteristic. This is something that was very interesting, to say the least. I hope I don't confuse anybody, but I'm able to do a good job of tying this into innovation for you. If you're listening to me, and the framework for the idea. Okay. So today I'm going to be talking about entrepreneurialism. Entrepreneurialism. It's a big word. I use it erroneously sometimes. Sometimes everybody wants to be an entrepreneur because of the end result of profits, right? We like the idea of being entrepreneurs because we get to call the shots. We get to be the boss. We get to call the shots. We get to be the boss. We get to manage our time. We get to have freedom with how we make money. We have freedom in our success and failure. Okay. And so the idea of entrepreneurialism is more about mindset. Okay. So when it comes to innovation, think of this entrepreneurialism as a mindset and a spirit of acting like an entrepreneur. So I'm not saying being an entrepreneur makes you an innovator. No, you can work for somebody, but you have to have an entrepreneurial mindset and a spirit like an entrepreneur. Developing entrepreneurial mindset is where no is no longer an option. Okay. You remove fear, eliminating failure, and it gives you a mentality that breeds success and makes sure that success is the only option, right? Entrepreneurialism also creates value that solves problems and drives innovation ultimately. So I'm writing the book. In the book, it's a little more detailed. I'm be a little bit more sporadic about this because I want to have it more conversational. However, I'm going to tell a quick story. So, wisdom walked up to me and asked me a simple question. What is your assignment in the kingdom? Wisdom looked me in my eyes, charged, determined for an answer. When I looked at wisdom was beautiful, radiant, elegant, firm, but yet gentle. I thought to myself, it was a bit unusual for wisdom to ask me such questions. Why would wisdom ask me that? You're wisdom. You have everything. Why would you ask me that? And I replied, I said, to coach the idea of change. As soon as I said that, the disposition of wisdom changed. It seemed to be more focused in a manner, intrigued. I saw like the somatic response change, right? And as I looked wisdom in the eyes, I saw that there was a connection to the topic. I realized in that moment that wisdom knew more than I did. And I realized that I didn't know anything about change, innovation, or how entrepreneurialism works. I became curious right at that moment. So I pondered briefly, still flattered. So I asked wisdom for help. As a result, wisdom and I sat for hours talking about change, innovation, and entrepreneurialism. We talked so long the environment itself began to close around us. Time seemed to be no longer a factor. Within that time frame, a recurring theme stood out to me. The things that we talked about mutually was know what you want. No is not the answer. Learn to have patience and work through pain. Wisdom and I cautiously spent time in discovery mode the whole time. It was an exchange of mutually beneficial ideas that was full of purpose. The purpose was for wisdom to hear the idea of change, right? And then in exchange, wisdom was to help me understand entrepreneurial mindsets as it relates to innovation, right? This was a divine full circle moment of experiences, meeting new ideas, dreams, hopes for the future. I wish the moment didn't end. This is just me, my perspective. I wish it didn't end because I can say that I haven't truly understood the entrepreneurial mindset in its entirety. But I was certain that there was something that had been gained by spending time with wisdom. I was honored to have the opportunity to spend time with wisdom and grateful that wisdom accepted me. But the true growth happened in the absence of wisdom. I have to think about change. I talked about this opportunity or this adaptive changes, right? An adaptation almost occurs when you lose something. So in the absence of that thing is when you learn to adapt. So in the essence of change is where I'm going with this. Because in the absence of wisdom, I found a personal revelation about entrepreneurial mindsets. Now, you don't have to agree with me, but this was the discovery that I found. And it was revealed to me from a personal conviction. My mindset is this. Sometimes I get in a position where I drift into my destiny, not knowing where to start or where the finish is. During this drifting, I experience racing thoughts that circle, spin, and spiral, only to gain nothing. I produce nothing, leaving me without words to describe the external nature of my life, of the places around me. I don't even have expression. I can't really describe things. There's those cloudy moments like, what am I doing? I don't know my left from my right at times, right? And as this volatile, intrinsic thinking rapidly moves to destroy, disrupt, and rob me of all my understanding, I always seem to pause and ask myself the following question. What have I learned? That's key. So entrepreneurial mindset, it's a continual state of learning. You have never arrived when you're an entrepreneur. You have to stay learning. Point number one. So let's talk about wisdom, myself, and what is this really saying? Going to the best book in the entire world, the only book that we should be listening to, in my opinion. All of these other books are just derivatives of this one book, and that's the Bible. Yeah, I know. The Bible, right? So I'm going to Proverbs 8:1-36. And it says, listen as wisdom calls out. Hear as understanding raises her voice. On the hilltop along the road, she takes her stand at the crossroads. By the gates at the entrance to the town, on the road leading in, she cries aloud. So first of all, wisdom is calling out. Understanding raises her voice. Got it? By the gates of the entrance. So she doesn't go in. She's yelling into the town. Okay? Here's what she's saying. I call to you, to all of you. I raise my voice to all people. You simple people. Use good judgment. And to those who are foolish, so she says, you foolish people, show some understanding. Listen to me, for I have important things to tell you. What does wisdom have to tell us? Everything I say is right, for I speak the truth and detest every kind of deception. My advice is wholesome. There's nothing devious or crooked in it. So wisdom does not have any devious or crookedness in it. My words are plain. So when you have wisdom, your words are plain. to anyone with understanding. It's plain not to the foolish, but to those with good judgment. And it's clear to those with knowledge. So people who have knowledge, they accept wisdom and they can see it clearly, right? So choose my instruction, wisdom rather than silver, and knowledge rather than pure gold. For wisdom is far more valuable than rubies. Nothing you desire can compare with it. I, wisdom, live together with good judgment. I know where to discover knowledge and discernment. So not only do I speak the truth, I know where to find it. All who fear the Lord will hate evil. Therefore, I hate pride and arrogance, corruption, and perverse speech. Common sense and success belong to me. So common sense and success belong to wisdom. Insight and strength are mine. Insight and strength. Because of me, kings reign and rulers make just decrees. Rulers lead with my help and nobles make righteous judgments. I love all who love me. Those who search will surely find me. I have riches and honor, as well as enduring wealth and justice. My gifts are better than gold. What wisdom provides is better than the material of this world. It's better than gold, even the purest gold. The wages are better than sterling silver. So having wisdom afforded to you is better than anything else that you could receive. I walk in righteousness. Wisdom walks in right standing with God, in paths of justice, fairness, rightly. Those who love me inherit wealth. I will fill their treasures. I will fill not only their treasures, but their treasuries. Your bank accounts, anything that is void of wealth, wisdom fills it. Wisdom fills it. Wisdom fills those places for you. That blank page that you need to write that book, wisdom fills those pages. The Lord formed me from the beginning. So remember, go back to creativity if you don't remember that. Wisdom was created in the beginning. Okay? God formed wisdom in the beginning. See, say, call. Separate. Before he created anything else, it was wisdom that was there. I was appointed in ages past. At the very first, before the earth began, I was born before the oceans were created. Before the springs bubbled forth their waters, before the mountains were formed, before the hills, I was born. Before he had made the earth and fields and the first handfuls of soil, I was there. When he established the heavens, when he drew the horizon on the oceans, I was there. When he set the clouds above, when he established springs deep in the earth, I was there. When he set the limits of the seas, so they would not spread beyond their boundaries. And when he marked off the earth's foundations, I was the architect at his side. I was his constant delight, rejoicing always in his presence. Wisdom rejoices in the presence of God. and how happy I was with the world he created, how I rejoiced with the human family. So wisdom isn't human, obviously, but rejoices with us and rejoiced when humans were made in the beginning. Family, Adam, Eve, family, Seth, Cain, Abel, family. And so my children, listen to me. For all who follow my ways are joyful. So if you follow wisdom's way, right, the things stated before, joy. You have unspeakable joy, right? You are joyful. You're full of joy, right? Listen to my instructions and be wise. So wisdom is saying listening and be wise. So have me and listen to me, right? Don't ignore it. Joyful are those who listen to me, right? Watching for me daily at my gates, waiting for me outside my home. For whoever finds me finds life and receives favor from the Lord. But those who miss me injure themselves. All who hate me love death. So in my absence of wisdom, two things I thought about when it comes to an entrepreneurial mindset. It's confidence and securities and insecurities. So in the absence of wisdom, two things happen. Your confidence and insecurities are challenged. Managing confidence and insecurity, I believe, is something that I had to understand. Something that I needed to understand so I can understand wisdom's beauty, radiance, elegant, firm, and gentle voice, the voice that's at the gate talking to me, right? Through misunderstanding, I failed wisdom. Through misunderstanding, I have failed at being wise. However, I'm determined from today on, and I hope that you will make the same decision, that this time I am determined to understand. I'm coming out of darkness on top, relevant, joyful, listening, full of life, favor, and unharmed. Again, this is another full circle moment. This is a decision to change today. You have to decide that there's no other option besides being on top, relevant, joyful, listening, full of understanding, or full of life, favor, and therefore you're unharmed. So the pros and cons of our decisions, we often accept this as a success or failure, right? We look at it as feast or famine. There's these extreme rights and extreme lefts. Either you do or you don't. There's a yes or a no. And society and universal law will tell us that. You either are successful or you fail. You either in basketball make the shot or you miss, right? These are universal laws that are in place, right? Things that we don't argue. Okay? Society has imposed this on us. And we know that because success is measurable. We use success to gain influence on others with our leadership. Being in leadership, we use that success to benefit ourselves by influencing other people, by compelling them from our success. Past successes compel other people to follow you. Social media is looking for the biggest success story, right? Then whoever's the most successful in an industry, that's where millions of people will flock to. Call them influencers. I'm not going to get into the deception, but because you can fake success. Moving on. As I follow, I'm being followed. As I'm leading, I'm led. And vice versa. As I'm led, I'm leading. As I'm being followed, I follow. It's a ripple effect. It's a chain reaction. It's how we are created. It's how we are made. Go back and watch creativity. I think one of the major barriers that happen with entrepreneurialism that we all have to conquer in our mindset is this fear of success. Now, if you're my friend on Facebook, I posted about this, but the fear of success, okay, breeds avoidant behavior. It breeds unbelief at a deeper level, right? And I learned from my own struggles with this. Because when it comes to making changes in our lives, it's this idea of changing something that makes us uncomfortable and unfamiliar, especially when these external changes or these internal changes that you have to make affects everything around you, your life. You have to cut off people that you love. You have to lose a lot of things to gain things. You have to prune some trees. You have to be willing to at times sacrifice time. Things that you want to do, you can't do if you want to change. And so it's a struggle. We avoid it because of that. Okay? And then in my head, I create worlds in my imagination, things that I want to see, visions, right? And they give me a shot of dopamine. Like, I can do this. I'm pumped up. Like, we go to these conferences, pump ourselves up. Woo! Let's be successful. I can do this. Yeah. And it gives us a euphoria. And we chase it until time comes where we have to make an actual decision to execute. And then once we get to this time where we have to execute, their imagination of the said life is no more, right? The dopamine's gone. So what happens? The signaling to the brain, instead of it, the signaling of dopamine no longer is there. So what happens? You get the opposite effect. It's like having withdrawal. It's like, wait a minute, where's the serotonin? Where is it? What happened? And this is where I believe most people become stuck and they have indecision. I know I've been indecisive because of that. I'd go to these things and pump me up. And then when it came to do it, there was such a barrier. Oh, man, let me go play the game real quick. I'm tired. Not willing to sacrifice a little bit of sleep, not knowing that the task that I was really trying to do that would push me one step further would only take me a few hours, maybe even 30 minutes, maybe 12 hours, depending on the task. Right? Chat GPT. Take you a little bit shorter time, but that's not the end all be all. You still have to use your brain. You still have to know the solution that you want to put in the chat so that it works. Okay. Oftentimes, my indecision paralyzes me. Okay. Being indecisive can paralyze us. So where is this paralysis at? Okay. We call it stuckness. But where is this stuckness at? It's in the middle of failure and success. You're neither failing nor successful when you're indecisive. When you haven't made a decision, you haven't even tried to fail. You haven't even tried to be successful either. You're just, and this paralyzing middle ground is what I call avoidance. Avoidance, by definition, is the action of keeping away from or not doing something. We're avoiding it. I'm just not doing it. Sorry. My pop said to do nothing is to ensure nothing, right? You're avoiding it. right? The action of repudiating, nullifying, or rendering void a decree or contract. Now, imagine being at work and being work avoidant. I got to let you go. If you work on my team, work avoidance is not an option. Sorry. Okay. Work avoidance is not an option for you guys listening. You have to work. We're paying you wages to do the job, right? So you're voiding the contract that you signed when you signed your name on that HR W-2 for a company. Let's say you guys work for someone else. When you sign your name on that contract's there. Relationships. When you're married, you sign that marriage certificate, buddy. No more avoidance. It's time for action, bro. Woman. You can't render the contract void. That's not how this works. So what happens? When we avoid it, we are escaping or distancing ourselves from the distressing thoughts, feelings, situations, or experiences that cause us anxiety, fear, or discomfort. So what does that really mean? That means our bodies are hardwired to avoid. That's why it feels better to just avoid. We get into escapism. Oh, let me turn Netflix on. Wow, did you see Love Island? Did you see what happened with Love Island? Avoidance, right? We get into those time periods where we just avoid what we're supposed to do. I'm guilty. I do it. Let me go. You see that? Look at that. That's a PS5 right there. Turn that boy on and play. Listen, we avoid everything because it feels better to just escape rather than put your head down and do what you're supposed to do. Okay? And that is the contract we have with ourselves, is what I'm talking about. That's more of a personal thing. That's a personal level. Now, if we're talking business, I want you productive all the time. Now, it's different if you come home and you work 16 hours a day and you need some type of comfort for your own mental health. Take that. Rest. Do the things that fill your cup. Okay? And it's surprising. It'll be surprising as to what those things look like once you have stopped avoiding behavior. And then when you really change, some things that you filled your cup before may not always be what fills your cup now. Like I'll tell you, I went through a period where I used to play games all the time. Then that never filled my cup. What actually filled my cup was writing. It wasn't even going to the gym anymore. It was waking up writing. It was reading material that mattered. Because inside of me, something changed where I needed to, this restlessness that happened to me, where the only time I could receive rest is after I had read something, Bible, wrote something, idea of change, did the work or the assignment that I've been called to do, right? Make real change. And when I stopped avoiding those things, I started to rest and be refilled by the work itself. God has a funny way of replenishing you when you found what you're called to do. When you found purpose in your life, the thing that you do, you never get tired. It's like the woman who had oil that never ran out. When Jesus talked to the woman at the well, he told her, I am the well that never runs out. I'm the living water. Same thing happens to you when you find your purpose and your calling. There's no tiredness. Kevin Gates, I don't get tired. True, because he found out what he was supposed to do. Now, people don't agree with him morally. However, principally, he's correct. Okay. Because our bodies are hardwired and we have the same chemical mechanisms to keep us safe. When we avoid things, it's the same chemical mechanisms. So our bodies are hardwired to protect itself from harm using the same chemicals and mechanisms to keep us safe. So what keeps us safe is also what protects us from being harmed, right? And what keeps us in escape mode is the same mechanism. So we perceptually can't tell the difference between the two. Okay. So we have to have wisdom to understand if we're being avoidant, okay, or if we really are protecting ourselves from harm when we have been called to do something, right? So that explains why it is so much easier for you to avoid something, because it's your body's natural way, than it is for you to advance. Because advancing causes anxiety. Advancing causes fear, right, to creep up. Advancing causes discomfort.